Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing my top 3 favorite mass market oracle decks, just to follow up on the top 3 favorite mass market tarot deck video that I did. I am going to be doing this for my indie decks also. I just am doing the mass market first because it's easier, because I have a lot more indie decks than I do mass market decks. And just so you know, going into this, it's not even like it's not a list of the top 3 decks I think everyone needs to go run out and add to their collection. It's not the top 3 decks I recommend for beginners. Well, I do have a beginner-friendly collect list, which I'll try to remember to link down below. They're not even my top 3 most used Oracle decks, except for my honorable mention one, because of course I couldn't stick to just 3. So let's just get right into it. Okay, so the first deck that I have to show you is the Mystic Martian Oracle. I believe I got mine on Amazon, I want to say. I think it was Amazon. It was something I added to my Christmas list last year. And the list was started on Amazon. Where it ended up coming from, I'm really not sure. But it's mass market, so you don't really have to worry about where you can get it. This deck is one of my favorites because it's just so unique. I was really tired of Oracle decks that have just like generic keywords on them over and over and over. Like if I had to see one more deck that had a keyword of like manifestation, I'm just gonna barf. Although I'm sure there's manifestation in here somewhere also, but it's presented differently, so it's okay in my book. Let me get to a little part of the intro if you want to pause and read that. Using the cards. Obviously they have the generic 3-card spread. This one's a kind of cute spread. Haven't done it, but it looks interesting. And then the first part of the deck are extraterrestrial archetypes, which consist of how many cards? There we go. 24. I guess I should have paid attention to what I was being told. 24 cards of archetypes of different kinds of aliens, basically. Here's an example of one. And then they also go into the card meaning, upright and reversed, for that extraterrestrial archetype. So you kind of get to like learn a little bit of the mythology behind it, as well as be provided with like working divinatory meanings for if you're going to use them for divination. So, and then the other part of the book is sort of like sacred geometry. This one's interesting. They included crop circles. And again, meanings, both upright and reversed. So you get like a lot of information, or a good amount of information, and also something to use it practically. The elements are in here. Here you have the flower of life, the tree of life, the golden ratio. I really like this one. And let's take a look at the cards. Here's the box, first of all. I mean, that's just so fucking cute. I can't. There we go. Wasn't focused. Here are the backs. Here are the edges. Okay. All right. If that doesn't sell you, I don't know what will. And this deck, I have it in order right now. So I'll just flip through some of them. It was just such a new way to show the typical archetypes you see in tarot and other oracle cards. because those are very rooted in like human psychology. But this really makes you think about our place in the universe. Forget whether or not you believe in aliens is neither here nor there. It's just the idea of us here on our planet having this subconscious experience and a collective that's funny, and a collective unconscious as well. And and we're smaller than we think we are. Even with something as vast and profound as that existing within a respected institution like psychology, it still just is like a tiny little piece of the universal equation. And I feel like this is really good at regrounding while also elevating. Oops. Those two are still tucked together. And the archetypes work really well with other decks. Because again, it's kind of linking our own understanding of archetypes to extraterrestrial manifestations that we've placed on beings from other planets, whether real or not real. Okay, again, not really what we're looking at here, but just that the archetypes and the sort of Jungian psychology just is ever reaching, and we are linked to everything here, not here, physical, dimensional. It's just such a great deck. Oh, this one's nice and creepy. I love me some creepy cards. Oh my god, that looks so amazing right now because it's over 90 degrees here today. And I'm melting away. So this is the Mystic Martian Oracle. I hope I said that in the beginning. I could have been excited and completely forgot to. Now, my second deck here, not really in a particular order, but it's the Morgan's Tarot. Not a tarot deck, guys. This deck, I think, was first published in like the 70s. Yes. 1970, and then it was republished. Amazingly enough, oh, you know what? I have to check this. But amazingly enough, I'm pretty sure it's still available. I just got this in December. Oh shoot, you know what? Actually, all three of these decks, they were all on my Christmas list last year. So I got them all in December. I imagine, I don't own it, but I think if you have like the tarot deck from the 70s, they might work well together. I really couldn't tell you one way or another because I don't have that deck. I like to use this deck with my edgier decks or my boring decks just to kick them up a notch. Here we go. Okay, so here's the back. Cute little trippy thing design. The card stock is great, but I didn't mean to say card. I meant to say guidebook. The guidebook is as weird as the deck, I would say. Kind of, it's not even, some of them are very, very brief. Like, no trips without a tripper. And then that's all it says about it. Some of them are very insightful, and then some of them feel like you have to decipher the meaning as well. Very small. They're in no order. So if you really want to reference the guidebook, good luck. I guess you could always maybe add numbers if you'd like. I didn't do that. So sometimes I'm out here struggling, but that's okay. So this deck I love because it's weird, and I love that. It's very trippy. It feels like a deck from the 70s. Like this, like if I were gonna pull, I have used this deck to clarify things, and sometimes it does just leave you needing more clarification, as you would imagine from a deck from the 70s. But for the most part, I've found that when I do get a card where like, okay, well now I need to clarify this, it kind of just reinforced my own misunderstanding in a helpful way, if that makes sense. I'm sure if I saw the card, it would make perfect sense that I said that. So this was kind of annoying. This was the title card, and yet it also is like a card. So I just left it in there. Maybe it was this one. Maybe it might have been this one. So like if you got this as a clarifier, at first it wouldn't seem helpful, but then if you like when you think about it, it's like, okay, the book is blank, but that doesn't make it not useful. It's just for you to write in it. You know what I mean? Nowadays they have cards you can add things to in decks. Sometimes this could be that kind of card, but knowing this deck, it could also be purposeful. I like this card a lot. Is this not in focus? I'm sorry. So they do require thought. I would look at it less as clarification and more as another layer of meaning. I like this card. You just have a little dancing robot. Here you have your typical death card. This is a cool card. Very straightforward. It's a very versatile deck. I like that it's black and white because it goes with a lot of different things. It has sort of attitude to it. I'll show you only because, I do want to do a video on my deck pairings, but this deck is sitting right in front of me on the table right now because I'm working with it. So I'll show you one deck that I can't wait to use with this one. I haven't done it yet because I'm still sort of learning this deck. But just to give you an idea of what I pair this with generally, because I have other decks that are similar to this, and as far as like energy and vibe. This is the Naughty by Nature Tarot. I did a flip through of it. I didn't post it because I realized I might have to put an age restriction on it. It's a very sexual deck. There is nudity, there are penises, there are plenty of boobs and vaginas, and apparently on YouTube some people are offended by that. I'm actually sitting here, like I'm looking through the cards to see which ones I can show you. Okay, here we have, like, move this over, like a Queen of Cups, Um, this is by the same creator of the Moon Tarot, Moon Power, Star Power Tarot, something like that. They also did a Mars Power Tarot. I know for a fact it's called Mars Power, so it might be called Moon Power also, but I'm not 100% sure. Here's an appropriate one. I'm still thinking about whether or not I'm gonna post that. I'll take a risk with this one. Hopefully there's no prudes watching this. That one's kind of cool. So yeah, so I have another deck that is also very edgy, so to speak. But that one's more of like, I get like almost Aquarian vibes from that one. This one feels like my Sagittarius deck. Okay, and then you have cards that look like like they just go. Someone's laughing at you. Oh wait, did we already talk about the card? Obviously I'm drawn to that card because I keep being in awe of it. Just very different, you know? Also, a lot of the characters in this tarot deck are legitimately aliens. And this deck is a very out there sort of feel. Like this one. Even though this is not about it. Well, I guess it's open for interpretation, but it's not directly about aliens. It has the same sort of vibe going on. So I like to use this deck with decks like this. I have a couple of them. And I like to throw them in to maybe like spice up my Rider-Waite-Smith decks too. Because Lord knows they get repetitive, but we can't stop using them. So that was the Morgan's Tarot. Again, not a tarot deck. With a guest appearance from the Naughty by Nature Tarot. Let me get these cards put away because I do need to put them back in order. Okay, the technically last deck that is on my favorites of mass market oracle decks list is the Angelarium oracle deck. This deck is more than you expect. So if I can remember the background to this, it was created, it's its own universe that was created by this deck creator. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the artist. Don't think they have information on the creators, but I think this is the artist. He does have an Instagram page. He does a lot of work like this. And if I also, again, am not mistaken, he created these characters, so to speak, for a work that he did. But most of them are based on actual angels. I actually made a note here of where a lot of them come from. So, and sometimes, of course, the religions are related. So some of it is just like a technicality of which name they use for the angel that determines whether or not it was from like the Bible or the Quran or the Book of Enoch, actually, is where a lot of them come from, and some like non-canonical religious texts. So the first part of this deck, there's a card for every emanation in the Tree of Life, named. Oops, it'd be great if I put that in the screen. Sorry. And then there's a card for the angels. So like here we have Gabriel, often for associated with Christianity. Again, Christianity, Judaism, Islam come from the same tree, right? So it's just a matter of the names that they use. And I found that particularly for, oh yeah, Israfel, if my research served correctly, this was the Islamic name. And it actually references Raphael, who I believe would be perhaps more familiar to American culture. So I went through, I did all these notes because when I was learning the deck, I just fell down this rabbit hole of, again, like mythology and religion and the artist's work. And I was just like mesmerized. I spent hours doing this. I didn't even realize how much time had gone by. And at some point, if you're watching me go through that guidebook, pause it, and it's worth a read on what he says about each of the angels or emanations. It's very profound and moving when you pick one of the cards, because they hit hard. I'm not gonna lie. I can't even joke around about this deck. And the colors, so my lighting situation here, the colors are, let's see, slightly bluer. This looks a little more green, but it is just as dynamic. Like the saturation is the same. I won't go through every card. I did talk about this deck in my, what video was it? I was doing, they were doing only 10 decks for Lent, hashtag, I believe. And I cut it down to maybe 5 because I don't have that many decks in my collection. And this was one of the decks that I used that season. Look how beautiful this is. Some of the angels I could not find referenced anywhere. So they could very well just be the ones that were of his own creation and not inspired by religious texts. But it was few and far between, which I kind of felt made it even more special. I mean, some of these are just badass. I think I said this in the video I was doing about the decks I was using for Lent. Maybe not, but so many people have angel decks, right? They were very popular years ago. This is the modern version of that. This is like I want to say the millennial generation version of that. Just having grown up with technology, like in your home. I say that with, I promise, all due respect. I just know like my mom is a baby boomer and she didn't grow up with a computer. And actually, as a millennial, I didn't have a computer in my home till I was in maybe middle school. Wait, no, that seems a little late. Middle school? Wow, guys, millennials, help me out. Early 90s, late 80s millennials. Oh my God, it might have actually been middle school, maybe like 5th grade, 4th grade maybe. But yeah, you kind of get like where I'm going with this is that for a millennial, you kind of get that gaming, technology, futuristic vibe from these angels because of the artwork, as opposed to the artwork that is very much like sort of soft and loving, and you're not trying to level up a character. So anyway, this is the Angelarium Oracle. Oracle of Emanations, it's actually called. One of my favorites because it pushes the bounds on what you'd think an angel deck was or is, and it's I have a personal connection with this deck because of readings I've done with it during specific times in my life over the past few months. And you don't need many cards. You need like, it's definitely one of like the one card pull type of decks. And it does it so well. And the keywords and the guidebook are not your cookie cutter Oracle deck material. So these were my 3 favorite Oracle decks that are available mass market, unbelievably, because they feel like indie decks to me. And then my honorable mention, as per my usual, is the Sacred Destiny Oracle. Why is this my honorable mention? Because it is almost, to me anyway, a cookie cutter Oracle deck, but it was my first ever, not even my first cookie cutter, my first ever. Has the typical, not the typical, honestly, it's pretty good. It's pretty unique as far as Oracle decks go. I'm not even going to look at the cards as I flip through them because I have yet to see, I mean, at some point I did go through all the cards, but I've forgotten because even today I saw a card where I was like, wow, I didn't know that card was in this deck. It would help if my thumb wasn't in the way. So yeah, I think it's unique in terms, I think it also could just be because of when it was published maybe, which I am not going to take the time to look for, although I'm doing it anyway. One second, because now I'm curious. It was published in 2019. So yeah, and it doesn't say, first published in 1990. So it's fairly new. It doesn't feel like, okay, people are not going to like that I'm saying this, but maybe this is what I was avoiding saying about the cookie cutter decks, and so it sounded confusing, but like, if you have one Colette Baron Reed deck, you probably don't need another one. I'm just gonna leave that there. I also feel though, like if you have, because I've seen other decks by this creator as well, you probably don't need more than one. I don't have more than one because having this one and seeing all the rest, I don't really think they have much more to offer me personally. But that's just my opinion. Again, there's only so many times you can have a card that says power and inner peace and security and transformation and forgiveness and even illumination and abundance, and like, you know what I mean? Like the cards aren't original anymore. Maybe they were, but like now most Oracle decks have these keywords in them, but you need at least one, right? So this is the one I have. When you have one, it's still very special. And this was, like I said, my first Oracle deck. So not to knock all of the decks that are very similar to this, but this is mine and the one that I chose and the one I was first called to. So this is why it's one of my favorites. But it's honorable mention because it's just not as unique, maybe is the word. It doesn't feel like if I were to, God forbid, lose this deck somehow and not be able to ever buy it again, I could easily replace it with another deck. And though it wouldn't be as special to me personally, it would fulfill the same purpose. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe, not maybe I'm wrong. I know I'm not wrong in, like, for my personal opinion, but maybe I'm just being too judgy. But that is I do get like that sometimes. But anyway, so here they are. If you want to look for them online, honestly, guys, I'm not going to leave the links down below because they're mass market, but I will leave the names down below so that you can Google them for yourself. And I will check and see if this one's still available, because that's the only one I'm questioning now. Even though I did buy it mass market, I don't know how available it is. All right, so I hope you liked my selections, although it's okay if you don't, because these are just my personal favorites, not ones I'd recommend for other people for any particular reason other than I love them and you might too. And my next video will be, well, no, not my next video, but I will do, as promised, my indie decks when I can pull myself to do so and not break my heart in doing it, because I just love them all.